So in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Why do we pick the name Parable Podcast?
Yeah, so me and Chris, friends of old, we're discussing just stories in the Bible, and we realized that Jesus told many, many stories, I think over 30, and he did it in the form of a parable. And usually when we read parables, they're kind of easy to get the gist of initially, but there's always like a deeper meaning. And when you go through stories in general, there's always really a deeper meaning to stories. And when you really unpack them, you get things out of them that you wouldn't have got before. So yeah, we're thinking making a podcast about it, just topics that we can draw out and pretty much, yeah, just unpack a parable. Today's parable will be about talents, the parable of the talents. And yeah, further just understand what Jesus was trying to tell us.
And I think the parable is actually pretty hard to understand.
Yeah.
So it's good to have this, even for myself later, to go through it again. And the point of this is to have priests with us as well to help us, guide us in what they mean. Yeah. It's going to be really good. And I don't think in the future, obviously we might run out of parables. In the future, we can do book reviews and add in other stories in the Bible.
Oh, so, just stories in general. There's always a level of deepness to a story because there's always sort of levels that you can kind of unpack, I reckon. So yeah. Parable of the Talents is one of my favorites. And we recently had a camp about it at my church. I'm from St. Oneness.
Oh yeah. How was the camp?
Coptic Orthodox church. Yeah, it was really good. It was about obviously talents, as I said. I was in Gold Coast, shout out.
That was the theme?
That was the theme, yeah. The theme was about talents. So
nice.
What a way to start off the podcast. God willing, it goes into many more weeks. Okay. But yeah.
Are you going to tell us about the theme like now or maybe in the middle or?
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Did you want to introduce our special guest?
Yeah, of course. Today we have Father Pete or Father Peter. Or Buna Pete.
We should have sound effects.
Welcome, Buna Peter.
Thank you, Chris and Tim.
I
think it's a great initiative that you guys are starting with the podcast. For me personally, it got me to read into this parable deeper and learn new things that I didn't know about before. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So, Buna, you're newly ordained, and you were ordained, was it the 14th of December or 13th?
16th of December.
16th. Yeah.
Unlucky.
So, how was your trip to the monastery?
Yeah, very good. I really enjoyed it. The best 40 days ever.
No.
So peaceful. You guys have probably visited St. Shenouda's Monastery before in Putty. And so when a priest is newly ordained in the Coptic Church, they go and spend 40 days out there the same way Christ spent 40 days in the wilderness before he started his service and mission. And the objective, the idea, what we do, the church does that for priests to emulate that. And the idea is to spend some time with God in quietness, and but before you go out and serve or speak or do anything, or even decide to do this podcast, you sit with God and try be inspired by the Holy Spirit, and so that you can pass on God's message, not your own.
Yeah.
What was like the highlight of the 40 days?
It's hard to pick one specific highlight. The whole lot of it was fantastic. But the take-home message that I learned from the monks and from the time there is they call it, and priests before me have called it, a honeymoon with God. Just like your honeymoon, you spend it with one person, your spouse. The idea is to spend it in quietness with God, be it in quiet time, be it in liturgical services, be it just in your room, learning things or reading, and reading the Bible. And that was a big focus that the monks spend a lot of time reading their Bible. And one of them gave an analogy of reading your Bible like eating food. When you eat food, you don't just eat once and you're done, but you have to eat at least 3 times a day. You might even snack during the day. Just like the Bible, you don't say, "Yep, I'm done, hit my quota." Yeah. And when you eat till you're full. You don't eat You don't say, "Yep, I'm done. I've had a bite." With the Bible, whether that be a single verse, whether it be a full chapter, you eat till you're full, till you're satisfied.
And if you ever sleep over the monastery, Abuna Anthony will grab you and you sit at night before you sleep and you do a Bible study. And one of the reasons why I found this such a great idea of doing the parable podcast, because that's what we used to do in the monastery. If you sleep over, like you sit down with Abuna Anthony to discuss something, either a parable or chapter. So Abuna, did you go to that?
Absolutely, and that's
every night.
That's
physical.
That's exactly where that analogy came from.
Yeah.
Abuna Anthony in Bible studies at night, but they're very useful.
Yeah, I found it. Me personally, I found it very useful when I asked Abuna, how do you do these Bible studies? Like, they're really nice.
Yeah. And
he said, just read it. Just read it for how it is.
Fair enough.
And then for Sunday school, I started opening and just reading it with my Sunday school kids, and they loved it.
Yeah.
It was really good. Just if you just sit down, you just read it, you learn a lot, even just by reading it.
Yeah.
And then you can discuss it. It's really nice.
I think I loved what you said earlier, that even if it's one line, you can be spiritually fed from that. It's like you can get a revelation from just one line. You don't need to read heaps to be full, as you were saying, sort of thing. Sometimes it's just contemplating on one specific verse, and that might be more beneficial than reading a whole chapter and not really getting much from it.
And I think the take-home message that Abuna was saying was quality over quantity.
Yeah, of course,
and so doesn't mean I say, "Oh, well, I only need to read one verse and then off the hook." Well, because again, that's not quality if that's my intention.
True.
So eat till you're full.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one.
All right. Well, I think we'll start reading.
We'll start eating.
Start eating. Abuna, can you start us off with Son of the Cross?
In the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen.
Thanks. And Tim,
Sure.
would you like to read?
Sure.
So I think we'll read the whole thing once.
Yeah. Go through
maybe
it.
talk about it for a bit, and then we'll go maybe section by section and discuss
Yeah.
what we think.
Easy. Okay, for the kingdom, Matthew 25:14-30, on the parable of the talents. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug it in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. You ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. So take the talent from him, and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even that he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Sounds very harsh.
Yeah, the last verse is there will be weeping
very
and gnashing of teeth. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it sounds harsh? Do you think it sounds, when you read it the first time, does it sound harsh? Does it sound fair?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. Because the guy who only got one talent, he gives at face value a reasonable justification. He's like, oh, I didn't want to do bad, so I was cautious, and I thought I'd just dig it up and keep it safe for you. And so at first instance, absolutely, yeah, I think it does sound harsh.
Yeah. I think I had someone send me the verse at the end, and I took it out of context because it was just sent to me, the last verses, where it was for to everyone who has more will be given, and he will have abundance, but from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. So to me it was like a sort of like possessions thing, like for the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. That's how I took it. But
it's actually true.
Yeah, so it is, but it's the context behind it. So yeah, I was looking through it, and the word talent actually it's not so much just like a talent, but it's a currency. And when you read it, it's so one talent was worth 6,000 denarii. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the denaries were, I'm pretty sure, a day's wage.
One denarii is a day's wage.
Yeah, that's the one. One denarii is a day's wage. So if you think about it,
so in a year you'll get around 300 denarii, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're taking holidays.
Yeah.
300
let's say
denarii.
let's say around 300. Take the weekends off. Something like that, right? So
wait. So 300 denarii for a year.
A year.
So basically, one denarii is like a year's salary.
No, so one denarii is a day's.
A day, but then 300 would be like a year's salary.
Year. Correct.
So that's around $75,000. Just
sure,
for one.
Sure.
For one denarii.
No, sorry. So one denarii is a day's wage, okay. And then around 300 denarii would be a year's wage. Yeah. So pretty much one talent equates to 20 years' salary. So when I first read it, it was like, okay, one talent, that's nothing. But if you think about it, that's 20 years' salary. So even one talent has so much value, so much worth. And yeah, when we read it, it's just like, oh, we're comparing. Oh, I have one. This person has 5. This person has 3. When one is so valuable in of itself.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, if you do the maths, it's like $1.5 million.
Sure.
So this person had one talent, buried it,
put it away. Yeah.
So that's a lot of money.
That is.
I think it's a good point that you mentioned. He got 5, he got 2, he got 1. And when I read the parable, that one of the earliest things in the parable is that you come across is exactly what you said. And this idea of potential jealousy or comparison or keeping up with the Joneses, and he got this, he got that. But as it says, each one according to his own ability. So it was the Lord's discernment that he gave this person 5, this person 2, this person 1. And as it goes on, you see rightfully so, because the person who he gave 1 produced nothing, and the person who gave 2 and 5 produced 2 and 5. And he didn't produce, the guy who got 1 didn't produce nothing because he got 1. It's because he would have, the same would have happened if he received 5 or 2 or 10. So each one according to his own abilities. So with whatever I have, I must not necessarily say, oh, it's because it's my abilities, but this is God's discernment for me to have what I have, and I must look at what I have and not say, oh, but
gratitude. Yeah.
Tim and Chris got more.
Yeah,
exactly right. And when you start off in reading in Genesis, the story of Cain and Abel, obviously Cain did the wrong thing and he didn't offer right. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what led him to the murder was perhaps his jealousy to his brother. Yeah. Why did he go after his brother? Just because God wasn't happy with his own with his own offering. Yeah,
it's a good point, because even the person who received 1 talent only saw it as little because he was looking to other people. If he just received 1 talent and didn't know that others received any, he would probably have more gratitude over it, I'd say. There was another thing which I took out, that God gives everyone a talent, and we often hear that, like, everyone has their sort of God-given talent. When we were on camp talking about talents, same on this.
So now you're talking about physical talents.
Yeah, so talent, it could be like a talent of leadership, it could be talent of like talking. Yeah. So yeah, spiritual gifts and talents. Yep. We used sounds a bit controversial, but Hitler as a sort of idea. So bear with me. So the idea was that Hitler had a sort of a talent in the terms of leadership, right? And he had the power sort of and the talent to manipulate others to do whatever he thought was right. Okay. So we had that idea that obviously Hitler we see as quite an evil man. And he's using his talents against God. But in the parable, it talks about the person who buried their talent. So they didn't use the talent. It's not like they used it for evil per se, specifically against God, but they didn't use it at all. They buried the talent, they put it away. And it describes that person as you wicked and lazy servant. So when I read that initially, I thought like, wow, like, okay, even if I'm not using my talents for God's glory, and I'm a wicked and lazy servant, even if it's not for doing something wholly against him, but just simply being lazy and not doing it at all, I'm counted as a wicked and lazy servant, and I'm dashed and I'm an unprofitable servant who's into the outer darkness, and there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So when I read that, I had quite a deep sort of revelation that like, wow, like I need to maximize everything that I have, all my responsibilities and all my talents. I need to maximize them for profit. Because at the end of the day, it's like God hasn't given you a talent to just keep for yourself, but it's to use for others. What do you guys think about that?
Go for it, Chris.
I don't know. I think, so what if I have one talent and I don't want to use it?
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like, why am I such an evil, wicked servant? Just because if I have a talent, I'm like physical, let's say, for example, I'm talently really good at soccer.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to play.
Yeah.
Why does that make me a wicked servant?
I think, to place ourselves in the story, we remember that we're stewards, we're not owners. Christ is the owner and we're stewards. And so as a steward, too often we put ourselves in the position of, it's my talent, I can do what I want. But we're not the owner, we're stewards, and whatever I have, I've received. And if I've received it, then God's going to ask that back off me. And you know what Tim said, I liked what Tim said about being lazy. God doesn't really care about, he rewarded the 2 and the 5 exactly the same, no difference. So he didn't really care about his dividend or what he received, but he cared about the attitude. They're positive, to both of them, he said the same thing: well done, good and faithful servants. But what he disliked about the guy who received 1 and hid it was his laziness, his slothfulness, because he did nothing. And so God has given us talents. Sure, here it's currency, but he's given us our health, he's given us our time, he's given us our youth, he's given us our careers, our education, our mindset, our intellect, our discernment. He's given us all of that. If I choose not to use it, then he gave that to us. Unless I think, oh, it's mine and I have, then it'd be a selfish way to live, to say, oh, it's mine, I can do what I want. But if I'm a father, then that's my talent. I've got to lead my family in a certain way. If I'm trusted with a service, if it's a Sunday school class, if it's sometimes our talents are just opportunities, and we all have opportunities to witness to Christ. That's a talent given to us, and the Bible says you are the salt of the earth. You're the light of the world, and so can the light say, "Oh, I choose not to shine today," or the salt, I'm going to choose not to salt? That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And so that was the real. That's why he was really upset with the wine because of his laziness and his slothfulness.
Yeah.
So do you, as well, do you think you should use your talents for the church only?
I think you should use your talents for God. And obviously a very practical way to use it is through the church. But if I see someone who's someone who's sick on the side of the road, who's not in the church, I'm still serving God. It's actually very appropriate you mentioned that, because I mean, if we read on in the same chapter where he says, "I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me." And they clothed me, and they said, "I was naked, and you clothed me." He said, they said, "When did we do all of that?" And he said, "Oh, if when you did it to any one of these, you did it to me." So if I see someone who needs help, that's a talent, because I've been given that opportunity to do something. And in James it says, "Those who know to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin." Perhaps because they have an opportunity, they had a talent that they chose not to do.
Yeah, I think that's quite timely for kind of culturally where we're at, in the sense that a lot of people kind of just to kill their time, they'll just scroll through TikTok, or they'll just be on Instagram Reels, just mindlessly scrolling. And it's not like they're inherently doing anything bad, but it's that they're not doing anything.
And it's literally a bottomless pit.
Exactly.
Do you think God's angry with people scrolling all day on their phone?
I feel like it's a matter of like, I feel like God can see our potential. He can see that we can do things. He can see that we can use what he's given us. And through doing that, it's kind of dishonoring him in a way.
Do you think it's the same response? You wicked and lazy servant.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Just a matter of opinion. I think whatever we do with discernment, there's a right place and the right time. Perhaps not if I'm using it to wind down a little bit. But how long does that last?
Yeah.
Am I winding down for 5 minutes? Am I winding down for 10 minutes? I'm sure. But if I'm spending more than that, and I'm spending hours and hours, and there's no end, and I'm doing it aimlessly, surely, the Bible says, "Redeem the time." I'm literally wasting time. I'm doing a lot worse, and it could lead to to more unhealthy habits. But so I think with discernment, I think I can't you can't say it's wrong to scroll, but I got to remember why I'm doing it. Look, obviously there's nothing good coming out of it. It's better if I'm not, but I don't think it's wrong if I'm just winding down for 5 minutes, or if I'm on there for a particular purpose, serve something. But everything in moderation. Everyone's a bit different. I think more than 5 minutes is probably a bit of starting to get wasteful.
Yeah. More than 5 minutes.
But that's not a rule. That's not a rule of thumb.
In principle, it's a cycle. Like once you get past 5 minutes, you're just deeper, and it's just harder to get up, I guess.
I was actually going to send you a video to play.
Sure.
But I'll just explain. I didn't send it to you.
Yeah, okay.
But it was about, that neuroscientist talks about dopamine.
Yeah.
It talks about how
Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah. Huberman, yeah.
Talks about dopamine depletion. And when we're on our phone all day, our brains, they get depleted from dopamine. It's like, but dopamine's used for us to work harder, to work and to do something.
To achieve it.
So if I'm on my phone all day and then, all right, time to work, I can't do it because my brain's fried from this phone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this wicked lazy servant. I have one, I'm gonna bury it, and I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
Those who are lazy, they get worse and worse and worse until they do something about it. And he was saying that this guy who was 25 or 21, he was a very good athletic person, went to the gym, and then he got stuck on his phone, and he was on his phone for like a few years, and he started to lose everything.
Well,
yeah. And he couldn't get out of this cycle of on his phone, so he decided, he's like, you know what? I'm going to completely get rid of my phone and get rid of TikTok and Instagram and completely get rid of my phone. But by the end of the month, he was going back to the gym. He was playing soccer. He was doing everything that he wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you got to fill that boredom with something.
Yeah. It's better to fill it in with the talents that God gives you.
Yeah, yeah.
The more you have, or the more you work on it, the more you get. It's like when I go to the gym.
Yeah.
Because I go to the gym now, I can play footy or soccer. or now I have I can have the mental capacity to play chess because I know you love chess.
Yeah.
One thing leads to the other. If you're good at one thing, it ends up rolling over. And the more you use that, you get better and better and better.
But do you think that that's what? So it's saying that for that who has 5 talents, they get 5 more. Do we think that that's just simply like they're just really getting better at their talent? Is that what God's saying in the sense that we're just increasing our skill, or is it a bit more than that? What do you think?
What was that? So I can see you've come to the very end, verse 29, which is what we started off at the very beginning. Yeah. And so just on that point, it calls for a reflection back on the justification that the guy who received 1 talent said. He said, "Oh well, I hid it because I knew." So after our discussion, we realized that it was a pretty poor justification by him, right? As you correctly said, in context, it's a poor justification because we said, we're stewards, we're not owners, and God gave us this, and we're called to use it, not to live for ourselves, but to produce fruit. And so for him to say, "Oh well, I hid it," and at least you got it back, as poor justification. And so for everyone who has more will be given, because we're beneficiaries of God's gifts, and if we use them wisely, God will continue to give us His gifts. And so those who do well, those who are not lazy and slothful, those who receive the 2 and the 5, will receive more. But again, more will be expected of them. I guess just like a promotion at work, you do well, you get promoted, you paid more.
Yeah. But do you think that that's a reflection back onto God in the sense that, for example, the Lord has given them the talents. Some people will be given talent and they work on them and they use them, who are completely secular, and they continue to work on their talent and they get more talent and they get the promotion, they get all these things. But it's not so much directed back to God in a sense. It's like for their own sort of benefit. Do you think that there's so is it just like a matter of just constantly using your talents to get more? And in that sense, can't we sort of make our talents?
Well, I personally think if we use our talents for ourselves and not for God, you start to feel very empty. Like King Solomon, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. If I don't put my talents towards God, I'm using it for the wrong reason, and you'll find out that it's empty. Like if I use my talent, for example, if I'm a public speaker, I'm a good public speaker, and I don't use it for the church, it's useless. I feel empty inside, and my money as well.
And I like what where you're going with that, Chris. Because if we reel this back home and we think, well, what's the purpose of the talent? And in the very next verse after this parable, it says, "When the Son of Man comes in His glory, and the holy angels with Him, then He will sit on the throne of His glory." So coming back to our parable, this is, I believe it's talking about Christ, who created this world, who created us, who placed us here, and He's going to come back and give account for us. And what account is He looking for? He's looking for our talents, and are we going to be accepted? Is He going to say to us, "Enter into the joy of your Lord," or is He going to cast us out into outer darkness? And what are the conditions for us to enter there? It's it's literally at the gate and saying, and there's this similar comparison with the following passages where He says He separated them, and some came in and some didn't come out, and exactly like here in our parable that we're reading today. So I think to myself, well, what is the criteria? What is Christ looking for? And it's not about my secular work or whatever, but am I producing fruit? Am I adding talents for righteousness' sake? Yeah. Am I going to be cast to the left or to the right? Am I going to say, "Come in, my good and faithful steward"? who's going to cast me out? And so I guess we can consider what is that filtration system. What's the what's the talents that Christ is looking for?
Yeah, I like that. I think there's another question I had. So there's an idea that with more comes more responsibility. Sort of with great, what's the saying?
With great power.
With great power comes great responsibility. And
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So with a person who has 5 talents, say they have 5 talents and they use 4 of them. Right? So say they have all the, like, very talented person, they have all these things, blah, blah, blah. But they're putting one to the side. And are they now deemed as a wicked and lazy servant, even though they've made profit on 4, but the one, they're kind of not so much there?
Maybe I'll say something that Bruno can correct it.
Go for it.
Well, he didn't bury all the 5. He didn't bury 100% of it. Like the one talent person buried 100% of his money.
Mm-hmm.
The person with 5 talents is just burying 1/5. So is it 1/5?
Yeah, 1/5. Yeah. He buries 1. Yeah.
Okay. So if he was to double it, he would get 8 instead of 10. So I think that's just the consequence. What do you think?
Unless I miss something from my understanding, all Christ is asking for us is to be faithful and wise. If we good and faithful stewards, if I've given 5, I return 5. If I'm given 2, I return 2. If I return 4 and not 5, then there's still some slack there. It's not good enough. I've got to return all of them. So, for example, if the 5, if we're talking hypotheticals, and if the guy who received 5 only returned 2, was he going to be as happy with him as the guy who returned 2 of 2? Probably not.
Yeah.
And that comes down to for everyone who receives more, will be given more, and more will be expected of him.
So you don't think you can relax, take a day off, take a week off of church, do 4 to 5? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
No slack.
All in or all out. Yeah.
So you think, just a question, do you think going to church on a Sunday every week is necessary?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think about maybe an additional day, like a youth meeting or a Bible study? Do you think that's necessary?
I think it's very good. It doesn't compensate to say, I'll take this off. Of course, there are circumstances, and we've got to be reasonable. Yeah. But again, as long as the guy who returned 5, it's not a numerical 5. It's the fact that he did what he can. It's that he was faithful and he was wise, and it wasn't so much about, God's not going to say 52 weeks in the year you missed 2.
Yeah.
But as long as you're faithful. And I read something about the 5 talents representing our 5 senses. And do I use everything I have? Do I use my whole body? Do I use all my senses for Christ's sake?
Oh wow, yeah, that's nice. I like that.
And this was by one of the church fathers. And again, so am I giving myself to Christ or for the service of Christ? We're here for a reason.
What was the quote again?
Let me find that.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Just while we've got a good editor. Yeah. just while he's finding that, I think I was seeing in a contemplation earlier that there's no better profit to God than using your talents to help other people get closer to God. So it's like you're using your 5 talents, use each of those to try and get someone closer to God, in that sense.
Yeah, that's really good.
So that's one thing. And then there's also like the idea that God's kind of loaning us these talents. They're not ours. And I think when we make that distinction, you can kind of understand that if it's not ours and that God's given it to us, then what he's deemed for us to use those talents for is what's most like worthy, sort of thing. And actually not using them at all is kind of dishonoring. For example, what's your favorite car?
I don't know if I want to say it,
Okay.
but I reckon like an affordable favorite car.
Yeah, just yeah.
I reckon the Audi RS8 or RS.
Yeah, crazy.
RS3 actually.
Yeah, the 4 people watching this are gonna get livid at that. But but okay. Imagine I bought you a G-Wagon or something like that, yeah? You don't like it. You might not like it fully, right? But I've given that to you. And maybe just because you don't like it very much, you don't never drive it. To me, even though it's something that you don't like very much or whatever, it's just something that's not your ideal. You don't drive it. That's actually dishonoring me. And that's being disrespectful to me. So if we take that to the parable, some people say,
but I'll be like, why'd you give it to me?
Okay, that's fair. But we use that all the time. So for example, we often think like, oh, I wish I had these leadership skills that this person has, or the social skills this person has, right? But it's not what's given to us. And if we are always looking for other things and what other people have, then we don't understand that what God has given us is from God. And by us not using that for God's purposes, then that's actually dishonoring him. The second that we think that it's ours, we actually have that sort of free reins to do whatever we want with it because it's ours. Like it's my talent. I got it. I can use it for whatever I want. And you asked, then why did you give it to me in the first place, right? That happens all the time in the sense that everything on earth has its good purpose. It's good God-given purpose, but we use it and misuse it for anything.
So you think if someone's not a good leader or have good social skills, that's it. You can't work better for it.
No, I'd say that person has different talents, different skills, which a good leader or a person with social skills simply just can't do. And I kind of disagree. You think there's a whole full package?
I don't think, me personally, I don't think I was socially good.
Yeah.
Especially when I was younger. Or in high school. Terrible leader, terrible social.
Yeah.
But you watch a few videos, you ask a few priests, what do you reckon? And then that might be, for example, you said 5 talents and someone buries 1. That might be my 1 talent I'm burying. Maybe I am a good leader or I have good social skills, but it's kind of like I buried it. So okay. I think everyone's good at everything, but if you put effort, you'll get a lot out of it.
But I don't think you buried it. You were saying that you didn't have it, and then you
worked hard,
and then you harvested it.
Yeah.
If that's
I'm not saying I have it now, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. You worked on it if you could. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think in that scenario that you necessarily buried it. Just to come back to the quote you asked for, which I found here from St. John Chrysostom, he says, "Let no one say, I have but 1 talent and can do nothing with it. For this end, God gave us speech and hands and feet and strength of body and mind and understanding, that we might use all these things both for our own salvation and for our neighbor's advantage." So, as that, there's,
like that.
There was Christ, Christ is going to come to give us an account on his second coming. He's going to say, what have you done? Are you worthy to come into kingdom or cast us out?
Yeah. Do you think there's more people out there not using their talents compared to people who actually use their talents?
I think it's hard to call, and more importantly, I look inwardly and say it's a point of reflection, not just academically reading the parable, but a point of self-reflection and say, am I giving everything I have to Christ? Am I using all my senses, all my abilities, all my strength, all my mind, all my time, whether it be for my own salvation or for the advantage and salvation of my neighbor? And focus on that and see where I can, trim any wastage away.
Yeah, I think that's quite good. We might wrap up soon, but one thing you were saying, the idea of just sort of sacrifice, and at the end of the quote it said, for others, for the friends around me. So I think it's great to just think that our talents aren't just for ourselves, but actually not for ourselves. They're specifically for others. And even a small thing in the parable, it said that in getting more, getting profit, they traded with others. So others were involved. It wasn't simply just their own sort of feat, own sort of endeavor. So yeah, use it for others, I guess, is a great thing that you can get at for.
I think maybe we can end off with one of those videos.
Sure.
With just a video of Jordan Peterson. He quotes one of the verses and talks about it. And
to those who have everything, more will be given, and from those who have nothing, everything will be taken. It's a map of manner in which the world manifests itself, where human creative production is involved, and the map seems to indicate that as you start to produce and you're successful, the probability that you will continue to be successful or accelerate increases as you're successful. And as you fail, the probability that you will fail starts to accelerate. So your progress through life looks like this or like this.
what do you think, Abuna?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. But look, as we covered earlier, the person who received 5 talents produced 5 talents. And so he's got 10 now. He'll probably continue to produce talents, but it's more so because of his attitude, as opposed to the guy who received 1 talent because of his laziness and his slothfulness. He did nothing. So with a good attitude, he will continue to receive, and perhaps God will entrust him with a lot more.
Just one last thing for anyone who's watching, or just in general, how would you say is a way to identify your talents? What does that even really look like? Like, is it just something that I'm better than at other people I find easier? What do you guys think? Yeah, anyone?
How do I identify my talents? I personally think the way I think might be selfish because it's I think. I'm the way I like to see it. Hopefully, I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, you're okay.
If I can put my mind to anything, I can be good at anything. Okay. For example, I played soccer. I hated soccer and I was bad at it. I was not that good. Yeah. Okay. So I know that's not really, it doesn't come naturally. So I have to work a lot harder for it. So I'm like, all right, fine. That's not one of my things.
Yeah.
But if you sit down and you try everything, you try footy, you try gym, you try piano or guitar, and see
what sticks that little bit quicker.
Things that, you try everything. You try to be a good leader. You try, obviously I'm not a good leader. I tried, it's not working. You try to be good socially. Yeah. And you realize things come more naturally, things don't come more naturally. And am I willing to put the effort in the things that come more naturally? Maybe, maybe not. I think the way to find out your talents is try everything.
Yeah.
Maybe as well, get off your phone, stop wasting time, and you'll find out your talents.
Yeah, I like that.
I agree with what you're saying, Chris. But if I may add to that as well, the talents that I have, I don't have to go and actively seek and, and say I don't have talents and look and try gain things. The talents I have is everything, is my time. How am I investing my time? How am I investing my effort? My talents are the opportunities I'm given. If there's someone who's in need, who's come across. So no one in the world doesn't have a talent. I can't say to myself, I'm not good at soccer, or I'm not good at basketball. That's saying I'm still looking for talents, but we're all given our own talents. Everyone has different opportunities. I was speaking to an old friend today, and he was saying he went through hardships and troubles, and he might not have seen it at the time, but now he's saying, I'm so grateful that I am completely on my own. So, and that for him, that was an opportunity, because he says, now I can focus on my spiritual life. Now I can focus on this or that. And that was a talent. That was an opportunity given to him. A talent could be something I do for someone else, but also I can do for my own spiritual gain.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's really good.
Hopefully we stuck under an hour. Sabuna from coming all the way to Centre from Church. By the way, I personally think we're very lucky to have you as a priest here.
You're just being kind.
No, I'm slightly jealous. Slightly.
Your church next.
Inshallah.
Thanks, Chris and Tim. I think it's a great effort. I personally benefited myself. So I think it's a great initiative that you guys are
Thank
doing.
you.
If this is your talent that you're
Hopefully,
putting
this
to
might crash
produce.
and burn.
This is our one talent we're trying to use, and it's half in the ground.
Yeah, we'll see.
And
We'll see what happens.
There's behind the
We'll see
scene
what happens.
talent with all this setup.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Shout out
Yeah,
to
shout
Joey,
out.
camera guy.
Camera and audio guy.
Look, I think we can only get better. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
you know how like there's that the
curve?
exponential graph. We're like,
Yeah, as long as we're trying.
look, I think we're down here, but
Yeah.